Will New York be safe for Jews if Mamdani is mayor? Zohran Mamdani has said that he would arrest Prime Minister Netanyahu if he came to New York. Why didn't Mamdani join Netanyahu in demanding the release of the Israeli hostages seized by Hamas? On October 7th, 2023, Mamdani made a rap song supporting the Holy Land Five. They were the leaders of the Holy Land Foundation. They pretended that the Holy Land Foundation was a humanitarian charity that provided disaster relief, sponsored orphans, funded hospitals, and so on. The foundation raised millions of dollars from American Muslims who believed they were contributing to charitable causes. In November 2008, the 5 men in charge of the Holy Land Foundation were convicted in a Dallas federal court on 108 charges of funneling $12.4 million to the Hamas terrorist organization.
About the Holy Land Five. In his rap song in 2017, he said, "I'm in love with the Holy Land Five." So let's explain what the Holy Land Fives are. They are convicted criminals that have been convicted in 2008 for material support for Hamas. In 2001, the Holy Land Foundation was actually dismantled. In 2001, it was shut down. And in 2008, they were convicted. These 5 people were convicted for supporting Hamas. He is saying that he is in love with those people and asking you to look them up. So I say, absolutely look them up. That guy is so radical. He might be some sort of a Trojan horse.
UNRWA stands for the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East. Before October 7th, their schools indoctrinated Arab children to hate Israel. On October 7th, some of their employees participated in the raping and the killing of Israelis.
Finally, after 2 years, every living hostage taken on October 7th is now out of Gaza. But right before their release, Zohran Mamdani was running a 5K race to raise money for a UN organization that employed a dozen people directly involved in the attacks of October 7th, which started this war. Let's bring in Fox News contributor Miranda Devine. So great to see you this morning, Miranda.
It really is just mind-boggling. I think with Mamdani, every time you think that you've heard something terrible, you hear something even worse the next day about this completely unsuitable candidate who looks like he's going to romp into office. You know, UNRWA is a totally discredited organisation. As you said, a dozen of their employees actively participated in the slaughter of October 7. And even under the Biden administration, their funding was frozen. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, issued this report a few months ago showing that this was a terror-linked organisation that supported Hamas, that was corrupt. And Donald Trump has signed an executive order banning any more American money going to it, which is pretty much a third of its funding and hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Mamdani supports boycotting, divesting from and sanctioning Israel, BDS. Why doesn't he support the needy in Israel? Why doesn't he support the Israeli families impoverished by oil-funded terrorist attacks against their tiny country? What about Israeli orphans and widows? What about Israelis who lost their homes to Hamas and Hezbollah rockets? Why doesn't he support the Israeli farmers whose farms were burned by Hamas and Hezbollah rockets?
And it's BDS!
Is Zohran Mamdani for or against the globalization of the Intifada?
You were recently asked about the term globalize the Intifada, if it makes you uncomfortable. In that moment, you did not condemn the phrase. Now, just so folks understand, it's a phrase that many people hear as a call to violence against Jews. There's been a lot of attention on this issue. So I want to give you an opportunity to respond here and now. Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the Intifada?
That's not language that I use. The language that I use and the language that I will continue to use to lead this city is that which speaks clearly to my intent, which is an intent grounded in a belief in universal human rights. And ultimately, that's what is the foundation of so much of my politics, the belief that freedom and justice and safety are things that, to have meaning, have to be applied to all people, and that includes Israelis and Palestinians alike.
But do you actually condemn it? I think that's the question and the outstanding issue that a number of people, both of the Jewish faith and beyond, have. Do you condemn that phase, globalize the Intifada, which a lot of people hear as a call to violence against Jews?
And to make clear that there's no room for anti-Semitism in this city. We have to root out that bigotry, and ultimately we do that through the actions, and that is the mayor I will be, one that protects Jewish New Yorkers and lives up to that commitment through the work that I do.
But quickly, for the people who care about the language and who feel really concerned by that phrase, why not just condemn it?
Could the real reason Zoran Mamdani doesn't want to condemn the phrase globalize the Intifada be that he doesn't want to alienate a large part of his voter base? Could another reason that Mamdani won't condemn the phrase globalize the Intifada be because he wants the Intifada to be globalized? Could the reason Zoran Mamdani denies that Intifada means violent attacks against Jews be because he participated in pro-Intifada demonstrations and doesn't want to be accused of anti-Semitism?
Mamdani insists he's not anti-Semitic and would work to protect the city's Jews.
Every anti-Semite that I've ever come across in my life says they're not an anti-Semite.
Former New York State Assemblyman Dov Hikind, the founder of Americans Against Anti-Semitism, says Mamdani should be judged by what he's done, not by what he says.
If you join people who are chanting vicious anti-Israel, anti-Semitic chants, you're part of that, whether you say the words or not. So, just a week ago, he said, I'm going to set aside more money than ever to fight anti-Semitism. The only thing is, he's the problem. He is the problem. He represents the outbreak of Jew hatred in America, in New York, that we have never seen before, not in my lifetime, that's for sure.
Mamdani whitewashed the term globalize the Intifada and said it is an expression of Palestinian rights. Noah Tishby survived 2 intifadas in Israel. In the following clip, she explains what intifada really means.
Let me start with the first thing that to me is the most violent and the most vile, which is his whitewashing of what Intifada is about. So he keeps saying that globalized Intifada means something else for different people. That is not true. I have lived through 2 Intifadas. I know exactly what they mean. An Intifada means a violent uprising against the Jews. It means car bombing and bus bombing and ramming through people with cars. It means stabbing and shooting. That's what that means. And to globalize that means to take into America and into Western civilization what we have been through in the Middle East.
During the Intifadas, buses were a target of attack by Palestinian suicide terrorists. This is a photo of the aftermath of one of many suicide bombings in Israel during the Second Intifada.
The current war with Hamas started with a massacre of young people dancing at the Nova Music Festival on October 2023. That was not the first terrorist attack on young Jewish people dancing. What many people have forgotten is the suicide bombing of Israeli dancers in the Dolphinarium discotheque on June 1, 2001 during the Second Intifada.
The Intifada is already being globalized in America. In the following clip, Barry Weiss talks about a young Jewish couple that was murdered in Washington, D.C. on May 21st, 2025, by a man who shouted, "Free Palestine."
On Wednesday night, outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., a gunman opened fire and murdered 2 young people because he thought they were Jews, because they were gathered in a Jewish place. and because they were there for an event hosted by a Jewish organization. Before I tell you about their alleged killer and the culture of lies that created the climate for his rampage, I want to tell you about the two people that he cut down. And I want to do that because I promise you that there will be no campaigns or hashtags or celebrity videos urging all of us to say their names. Yaron Lishinsky and Sarah Milgram, those are their names. They met at work. They were staffers at the Israeli embassy, and they fell in love. Yaron, who was 30 years old, had purchased an engagement ring for Sarah, who was 26, just a few days ago. They were meant to fly to Israel this coming Sunday so that she could meet his parents, who live in Jerusalem, before he proposed.
On June 1st, 2025, an Egyptian man, Mohammed Soliman, firebombed a Run for Their Lives event in Boulder, Colorado. This was a peaceful run for the release of the Israeli hostages being held by Hamas. On June 25th, 2025, 82-year-old Karen Diamond, one of the people he burned, died.
On October 7th, Hamas declared war on Israel. On October 8th, their supporters declared war on America.
It is time to bring the war home! It is time to smash this empire!
The goal of the movement is not just to destroy Israel. Their primary target is the U.S. They call America the enemy, the beast, or simply empire.
Will Zoran Mamdani, who participated in pro-Intifada protests, keep protests like this one from getting out of control? After the massacre of Israelis by Hamas on October 7th, 2023, anti-Israel protesters set up tent encampments on college campuses, harassed Jewish students, took over college buildings, and interfered with students who wanted to study.
This morning, both President Biden and House Speaker Mike Johnson are speaking out about what's happening at Columbia. The same pro-Palestinian demonstrators who've been camped out on campus for 2 weeks are now occupying a building at the university. They broke into Hamilton Hall on Columbia's main New York campus overnight, smashing out windows. Dozens of protesters formed a human chain. They locked arms in front of the building, then they carried furniture and metal tables to the entrance to form a barricade. Students who are not part of the protest complain this is a huge disruption just a few days before finals.
Eden Yadigar, a student at Columbia, spoke about being harassed there at a congressional hearing on anti-Semitism.
We have been attacked with sticks outside of our library. We have been surrounded by angry mobs, and we have been threatened to, quote, keep running.
Mamdani says that he won't send police to remove encampments from college campuses, claiming that doing so makes campuses less safe.
It is a repression that extends even to the ways in which we choose when to send police officers onto college campuses. The incident around encampments here at Brooklyn College, the decision to surge officers into that site is one that leaves students less safe than they were before. I will be committed to delivering actual safety, not to the use of the term as a means of repression.
Behind Mamdani's success stands the Democratic Socialists of America, or DSA, a group that molded his campaign from the very beginning.
I decided I had to join DSA.
The DSA has become a pro-Hamas, anti-American group that supports some of the most dangerous ideologies and figures in modern history. On the 7th of October, while the massacre of Israelis was in full force, the DSA International Committee applauded Hamas. They called the murder, rape, and kidnapping of civilians resistance. On October 8th, DSA held a rally where they gleefully cheered and celebrated the massacre that had just occurred. DSA even argued that there are no such things as Israeli civilians, de facto giving their approval for their murder. As their radicalization intensified, the DSA Liberation Caucus openly endorsed the brutal murder of a young couple outside the Jewish Museum in D.C., calling for the murderer to be freed, referring to his actions as righteous and justified.
Many Jews are worried that anti-Semitic mobs will attack Jews, knowing that Mayor Mamdani won't stop them from doing so. Candidate Curtis Sliwa said that he shared the same concern at the 2025 New York City mayoral debate.
Zoran, this is what disturbs me about you. In 1991, I was in the streets of Crown Heights with the Guardian Angels for 30 days and 30 nights when the first Democratic Socialist mayor of New York City, that's right, David Dinkins, was a proud member of the Democratic Socialists of America, abandoned the Jews for 3 days. They were left to their own means. And we protected them for 30 days and 30 nights. Then your favorite mayor, Bill de Blasio, in 2019, abandoned the Jews again when they were being attacked in Williamsburg, in Borough Park, and Crown Heights. And I had to bring the Guardian Angels in for 30 days, 30 nights. Jews don't trust that you are going to be there for them when they are victims of anti-Semitic attacks.
There were police keeping tabs on this protest. This protest was non-violent. Will these protesters be non-violent if Mamdani is mayor and controls the police? He has promised that he will not interfere with pro-Palestinian protests.
Muhammad curse on disbelievers, those who are disbelievers, those who are your enemies. You can curse them.
Radical Muslims globalized their violence to America on September 11, 2001.
American Boston. Please listen very carefully. This is Amy Sweeney on Flight 11. We've been hijacked. 2 attendants have been stabbed.
Do you have any idea where you're headed?
No. People at coach think it's a routine emergency. We've asked for a doctor, but none's on board.
Can you tell us anything more about the hijackers?
Yes. They have knives and mace. They say they have a bomb.
Okay. How are the people who were stabbed?
One flight attendant's okay. I'm not sure. The other may not make it. Oh my God, something's wrong here!
What's happening? Amy, are you still there?
We're in rapid descent. We're all over the place.
Can you look out the window and tell us where you are?
I see water, buildings. We're flying low. We're flying way too low.
After they heard the news on September 11, 2001, that 3,000 Americans had died, Palestinian Arabs celebrated.
The V sign for victory being displayed in East Jerusalem today among jubilant Palestinians that the United States had been subject to this attack.
Could Al-Qaeda strike New York again? They plan to. According to a leak from the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Islamic terrorists affiliated with Al-Qaeda have infiltrated U.S. soil and are actively planning simultaneous strikes against multiple cities. Will Zoran Mamdani's policies help prevent future terrorist attacks on New York City? He criticized the FBI for its surveillance of Anwar al-Awlaki, a man who joined Al-Qaeda, the terrorist group that attacked the United States on September 11, 2001. He also said that he plans to disband New York City's counter-terrorism strategic response group. Mamdani says he plans to increase taxes on white neighborhoods
We went on your website and realized there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
Sam Daibebe is a Jordanian Muslim. He has his own theory as to why Zohran Mamdani wants to tax white neighborhoods. Sam believes these white neighborhoods will be non-Muslim white neighborhoods. He also thinks that Mamdani is trying to convince black people he is one of them. Terms to know for the following clip. Jizya is a special protection tax Muslims impose on non-Muslims. Taqiyya means lying. Lying to non-Muslims is permitted in Islam if it advances the power of Islam.
Baby, ساكن هناك وشو اعتبارك شو تحليلك بده يصير في نيويورك على خلفية رئيس البلدية زهران؟
طبعا زهران ممداني يعني إسلامي متطرف جدا وشيوعي معادي للشركات، راح يسبب كارثة اقتصادية لنيويورك إذا فاز بالانتخابات. هذا الشخص يعني بتمويل قطري ودعم تركي ودعم إيراني يحاول تغيير وجه نيويورك الآن.
ماذا هو متطرف؟ يعني لماذا هو هيك متعصب، ولماذا هذا التعصب عنده شعبية في نيويورك؟
في سببين مهمين. زهران ممداني من عائلة إسماعيلية، لكنه ذهب إلى يعني الحسينيات وحول من إسماعيلي، والإسماعيليين تعرف عادة يكونوا أقل تطرفا ومتسامحين، لكنه تحول إلى 12 مش زي عائلته. يعني الرجل درس الشريعة الشيعية ودرس شريعة الإمام المهدي وتحول من إسماعيل إلى 12، فالرجل عنده عقائدية. في مشكلة كبيرة مش بس في اليهود الموجودين في نيويورك، أيضا البيض، الآسيويين من كل الأعراق، إنهم يعني يصدقوا التقية. يطلع زهران ممداني يذهب إلى اجتماعيات يعني الوقفات التظاهرية لدعم المثليين، لدعم النساء، لدعم كل الأقليات، ويخاطبهم بلغتهم، يقول لهم أنه أنا يعني شخص ملون، لست أبيض، أنا ضد النظام الذكوري الأبيض المسيحي، أنا أريد حقوقكم، بدنا نظام شيوعي، كنا نكون متساويين. للأسف الشديد ما في جهود إعلامية من العالم العربي لتوعية المجتمع الأمريكي عن خطورة الكذب الموجود عند الإسلاميين. فهو يستخدم التقية، هو يطلع بالإنجليزي، اسمع ما أحلى كلامه، يقول لك كلنا واحد، كلنا متشاركين، يجب أن يكون هناك عدالة. لكن هم ما يعرفوا أنه لما يوصل القوة سيبدأ نظام الإخوان المسلمين. ويمكن لا تستغرب إذا شفت نظام زي نظام الجزية تحت غطاء أنه والله يعني السكان البيض عندهم أموال كثيرة، يجب أن يدفعوا الجزية للمسلمين اللي يعانوا تحت ظل الحكومة الأمريكية. هذا أشياء ممكن يسويها. وزهران ممداني كتب تغريدة قال يجب أن ينقل عبء الضريبة من الأحياء الإسلامية والأحياء المكسيكية إلى الأحياء الغنية والبيضاء. يعني يشوف العنصرية، يهاجم البيض ويطالب برفع الضرائب عليهم بنفس نظام الجزية. فهو خطابه كان اقتصادي أكثر. ممداني يعني كشف خطورة أنه الشعب مش عارف خطورة الإسلاميين، لكنه راح يكون خيبة أمل كبيرة لهم. راح يوصل الحكم، راح تشوف الفساد، راح تشوف كيف تركيا وقطر وإيران راح يشتروا يعني عقارات كثيرة في نيويورك. ولكن راح تشوف دمار اقتصادي كامل، وراح تشوف ثورة ضد الفكر الإسلامي، وراح ينكشف هذا الخداع. بكرة لما يصير في يعني صراع بين الإسلاميين في نيويورك وبين اللوايطة والمتحولين جنسيا، راح ينكشف كل شيء، وراح يختار زهران ممداني الإسلاميين ضد المثليين.
واو. سام الدبيبي زميلنا ومحللنا للشؤون الأمريكية.
شكرا حبيبي.
من أصله شكرا حبيبي على هذا التحليل الرائع. شكرا.
Thank you.
If you want to help prevent Zohran Mamdani from becoming mayor of New York, please share and promote this video as much as possible. For all our sakes, thank you.